welcome to Flying Models Kit View Time. Today we've got Zoukei Mura's 1/48 scale. This is the F-4C Phantom II. Now they do a few different ones of this. They do the S version, they do the J version, they do the D version, and hopefully they're going to do a lot more in the future. They're roughly all about the same. It's just some different lumps, bumps and things in the cockpit and that, but generally it should be a good kit review for an overview of all the different types of Phantoms they do. So, without further ado, lovely looking box art on the front. Okay, it's called the Super Wings series. It's number 6. That's it. So your part number for this is 6, as you can see just down there at the bottom. Again, it is all in Japanese. There is a little bit of English as well, but most of the box stuff on this is all written in Japanese, and we got some build-up pictures just down on here, but again, they're all in Japanese as well. I'm sure they're pointing out some very interesting facts. Okay, and just down on there. So, in the box, which is, I have to say, quite heavy. Here we go, we're in. You can see absolutely rammed full of stuff in here. Very nice indeed. Tons and tons and tons of plastic in here. So what we do, we're going to move those out of the way. We'll look for the interesting bit. We've got a little booklet down in here. Okay, just take that down. So, in the booklet, huge decal sheet. Okay, so as you can see, usual thing, a little bit of blurb about the real thing. Okay, some other stuff. So you got obviously about the Phantom C version, and then obviously some dumps down in here. Now a lot of this, as you can see, is all in Japanese, unfortunately. Okay, but it's going to be pretty straightforward to find them out. Mr. Colour type callouts for the paints down in here. Again, odd way of doing it, but luckily for us, Phantoms are pretty generic in their colouring. There isn't a lot of differences between them. So as you can see, this very Japanese-esque way of doing the instructions, starting off actually with the actual seat. So we've got the ejector seat going down in there, putting all the parts down in there, some little detail call-outs for colours, things like that. Then we're into the actual lower wheel well for the nose, so we've got all the details being put in there, as well as we've got the actual rudder pedals going in there, and we assume this is going to be the floor set as well for the actual floor of the cockpit, which it is actually. Yep, we got that in because it's oversized. So obviously this is going to be your cockpit sides down in here, and again looking through, so it's got the detail call outs for the paint ones, as you can see down in here, and some of the parts going together to show you the cockpit itself being placed in there. So it is this thing, it's sort of going to sandwich in, so you're going to end up with the nose wheel well and the actual floor and sides of the cockpit all in one on this one. Okay, then you're adding some of the side details into this one. So we've got the bulkheads going in, the ejector seat rails, things like that going up there. A little bit of call outs again down in here for the actual parts going in there, the smaller ones. Colour call outs again. And then we've got the actual instrument panel area and the top part, control sticks, things like that all being fitted down in there. The throttles as well going right the way through. Again, showing if you wanted to have it in the forward position or the throttle cut position. And then detail call outs again down in here. Again, it looks quite complex the way it is. There's lots of call outs for various colours, things like that down in here, and for the parts, but you do have down in explaining what they are as well, which is quite a nice touch. Okay, also these little ones here, it's showing you which parts for the ejector pin parts of the sticks to cut off as well, which I haven't seen before. Another nice touch. Over the top rails, again, that's a really nice touch to see that down in there. That'll finish the cockpit off quite nicely, showing how that's all going to go in position. Again, looks incredibly well detailed. Okay. Then we got down in here for the actual fuselage halves going on board, and again which parts to take off, which parts to take care of. Okay, and some of the other points it's pointing out down in here about the assembly of where things are going to go, and then the fuselage halves going together about test fitting, which again another nice touch. Okay, then we're adding all these little parts to the insides, cleaning up, putting things in, stuff like that, as you can see. And then it's talking about obviously detailed areas in here, just being mindful about it, but also it's showing about which parts to cut off as well, which is nice. And then warning to cut these parts, so to cutting various things off. Top panel being fitted down in there as well. No system being fitted on. Again, obviously it'll be specific for which version of the Phantom you're doing, but you've actually got the radar warning receiver on the nose down on the front here. Again, just depending on which version you are, will be different, and with the tail one as well being fitted in. Okay, lights, talking about color call outs, things like that, as you might imagine. Nice touch with this kit. First time I've seen a 1/48 Phantom with it straight out of the box, coming with a fully detailed engine. Again, really nice one to see the J79 in here like that. So yes, very nice indeed. Okay, you do get a little stand for it as well, so if you wanted to have it outside the model, you could show it outside the model as well. But if not, you do have full length intakes into this one, going into the full length engine nozzle combo sets being fitted in. Again, really very nice indeed. Okay, talking about opening up the holes, as you might imagine, 1.5mm, drilling those out, and then some various things going down in here depending on which versions you're doing. Again, showing this one in with the actual blowing the auxiliary doors from the underside with the engines on the top. Wheel wells being fitted down into those again, and then wheel systems being put on the top. It's got the little cover over the tops. I don't know which ones have. Cut them off if you're going to be not using that particular type, so you might have to whip those out of the way for the little bulge on there. And again, exactly the same on the other side. We've got the actual undercarriage holder restraint, which also works out as the gear door as well, being fitted down under the underside. Again, lots of detailed information on all these instructions about putting them in. Those J79s now fitted in there, very much indeed. Side and top views. Intakes, very nice as well, going in there, talking about the little pitos inside there as well. And then we've actually got, I'm just wondering, are they working ones? I'll be the first if they are. Don't think they are. Not showing as working, but I did wonder if perhaps the inlet doors did have the ram door parts which were activators in here. But there we go, that's those fitted in and being fitted in whichever way you want to put those in. Very nice touch indeed. Okay, and then around the back end, fitting the actual collars around the engines and then putting those in. The actual nozzles being fitted, fitting those in, as you can imagine, right the way through. Slats and flaps, no problems at all, both sides going through, really very nice. Okay, and then obviously if you want them in the stowed or the deployed position with all of those, take your pick. Tail hook, arrestor hook, again, very detailed, very nice, showing all of that going in there. Tail planes, again, showing you the 23 degrees, classic Phantom down angle on the tail planes being fitted. And then you're into the realms of the undercarriage and the lighting set and things like that, right the way through these, which again, that looks absolutely lovely, no problem with any of that. And then again, showing you the actual 185 degrees. Again, some very good sharp details in this one to point out exactly where you're going with this particular kit. Some nice research done in there. Seats going in, instrument panel combing going in, usual things, and then we've got the actual canopies being fitted in there, some rear view mirrors, which is nice, and then again, choice. So you've got the option of split up, obviously 3-part canopy, or 4 with the inner bit as well, or you've got a one-piece drop down if you're going to do it closed. Again, quite handy if you want to paint it. Okay. Fuel tank, so you've got the big centre line drop tanks fitted in there, and then the wing ferry tanks as well being fitted in, and then we've got the pylons, and then obviously depending on which ones you're going to be doing, pretty much standard, 4 side winders, 4 Sparrow loadout, standard air defence loadout for that one. You do get a nice boarding ladder as well, which was always a nice touch with the Hasegawa kits. Again, final parts going on there, so you've got some of these for the actual tailplanes being fitted in there as well, and slotting those in for, again, depending on which version you are, or having it in which position. So you could have it in the down takeoff position or the standard power down position. Sprue call-outs right the way through with this one. So yeah, decals by Cartograph as well, so you can't go wrong all the same. Again, a very, very nice, very chunky, very well thought out, and some really good little bit of detail in there about it. So yeah, very nice indeed. Okay, we also get a full colour pull-out, which is on here like this. Okay, so there we go. Very nice. I would say the colour's a little bit random, but there we go. All in there, all you need to know. And then of course, a Phantom wouldn't be a Phantom without 8 million decals. For all the sort of stencil data on board the aircraft. Okay, so that's those, pretty standard. Lovely decal sheet, and as I said, Cartograph, so there we go, that's me sold. Okay, some very nice ones this. Quick look round, you can see a little bit more close up. Don't look too thick. Very nice indeed. We've got the slime lines, we've got the instrument panel ones being fitted down here, and again, nicely spaced out. It's actually quite nice. This one will be easier to work with than some of the decal sheets that just have millions of them absolutely everywhere. Okay. So that's nice. Right, into the bags. Okay, so we're all sealed bags. If I can find a knife. Okay, so in bag 1, straight off the bat, it looks very solid. It's halfway between being that chinky plastic and that sort of feathery plastic, the soft stuff. So pretty much in there. Very nice surface details, catching it in the light as you can see. That's actually very nice indeed. And then if we look at the close-up, catching it, you can see we've got recessed, obviously riveting and panel line details we would expect. Very finely done. Some nice touches down in here as well, with these location points and on the tail. Actually very, very nice indeed. Okay, and down the clamshells, we call it, down the back here, some nice details in there right the way through. And then looking down the centers, we've got the hooks there, doors, top. So obviously this is what we're saying about the different types of radar warning receivers on the tail for different versions, stuff like that. And then again down on here, some very, very nice detail on all of these. Okay, so yeah, I have to say, very nice. We've got a little bit of detail just for the internal cockpit framework. The rest of it's pretty devoid. All the ejector pins are very, very flush, so they're all over it, but they're not a problem. The only thing is a little bit nasty. We have got some ejector pins just down here in the intake. Would have been nice to have those out of the way, but to be honest, a sort of sanding sponge in there that's going to take care of those with no problems at all. So that's actually very nice indeed. Okay, let's start at the bigger ones and we'll work our way up, I think. Okay, so into the underside again, beautiful sprue. It's actually quite funny because it feels like there's a texture on this, but there actually isn't. It's obviously a micro texture, which, you know, I think unless you're doing a showbird that's all glossy, you're going to be fine. Again, beautiful engraved details for the riveting and the actual panel lines on there. And then on the underside, as you can see, that standard type of phantom way of doing it with this underside. There's not many different versions, ways you could do it, I suppose. So that's pretty standard. Again, gorgeous details right the way over. Catch it in the light there, you can see all of those. Okay, and then the tops of the wings. Again, these bulged areas, you've just got a little mark there where it would be. You can see it. So obviously you're going to sand that out and have it flush. I do believe that the actual C version doesn't have it. I think it's the J. The Navy version has a small bulge on these. Okay, so you need to just sand those lightly out and you'll be good to go. And then obviously we've got the controls. So we've got the actual flaps down the back there. We've got some slats at the front, again fully detailed, which is very nice indeed to see it on something like this. Again, in the inside, a little bit of detail, just waiting for the actual rest of the actual wheel well to be put on there. But again, nice full depth intakes. Okay, so where are we going to go with this? Let's have a look at the engines. Okay, so in the engines, J79, probably the most classic engine of all. Let's face it, it's all fitted to every X-Wing. Okay, so there we go. Gorgeous detail. Unfortunately, unless you're going to have it on a dolly, you're not going to really see it. But some nice, nice details, and again, those full-length intakes. And then we've got the other back parts, so we've got the afterburner ring and the nozzle area, compressor blades, things like that down in there like that. Really nice. Unfortunately, we don't have any weight on wheels, if we're honest. I thought we might get some weighted wheels, but we don't. But what we do get is actually no ejector pins inside the actual engines. And we've got some very, very faint ones, which aren't going to take a million miles to get rid of again, even if you bother, down on the intakes. So that's no problem. The nozzles themselves, they're not the sharpest I've seen, but very, very adequate right the way through. You can see on those, that's actually quite nice indeed, so no problem at all. Minimal burring, maybe a little bit softly moulded around this main gear area, but very, very nice. Okay, so we've got the spine. And obviously a lot of the stuff for the inside of the cockpit here. So this is the actual spine of the Phantom, the back part behind the rear cockpit, nose wheel, and then we've got the circuit breaker panels, rudder pedals, things like that, just down on here. Over here we've got one of the pylons, some more of the lumps and bumps and boxes, control sticks, things like that for the cockpit, right the way through. Over on this side we've got some sway braces, we've got the part there on the back for the actual tailplane. Aerial, which shows pretty much for the for the D, I think it has the antenna on the back, so we probably won't be using that one. Control areas, things like that. And then down on here we've actually got the flare buckets that are actually going to go onto the pylons on different versions, again mainly for the later ones. Wheel hubs, more antennas, different nozzles, again with the different ones. So this is actually the nozzles for the, I think it's the navy version, for the smaller one. And very, very nice indeed. Okay, so got the nose, very nice indeed, seamless nose. Nice slip injection moulding there. Again, clever moulding down in here with the actual slats. So they're done as well. Okay, and then obviously we've got the doors, got the barge doors for the intakes. And then obviously beautiful riveting detail for the rest of them. Speed brakes down the bottom here, some more of the stuff. Doors, various things. We've got a couple of ejector pins, but they're going to be tucked out of the way. There's just one in there which would be annoying. The rest of them are in line, so I'm not worried. The smaller doors have got no ejector pin marks at all. You have got a few little ejector pins, but they're hidden quite nicely, to be honest, in the actual speed brakes as well. So that's really very good. Keeps coming. Lots of plastic in this kit. Absolutely loads of it. So this is that part we were talking about when we first looked at the instructions, where you've got this area which is actually the wheel well, nose wheel well and the cockpit all in one. Okay, so that's it. So that's the floor and the bottom bits down in here, and you can see the sides. We've got the bulkheads, we've got the ejector pull handles, mirrors, handles, various things on this little guy. And then over here we've got another bulkhead, and then over here we've got that framing top area for the actual canopy join. Ejector seats being fitted down in here, and the pumps. Nice that we got some textures down in there for the seats and things like that. Again, very nice indeed. Okay, so what have we got? Is that a match pair? That's going to be a match pair, so we'll do that in a second. Mind you, they're all match pairs. Okay, so let's just whip one of each of these out. Okay, so weapons fit. Different type of sidewinder tops on here. So as say, you've got the standard sort of L and Lima and Mike sidewinder. We've got the Papa and the other versions as well, and the Limas on there, and then obviously the different tails for them depending on which version you're doing, as well as the boarding ladder. So you've got the nose set for whichever one you want to do as well, and the body of the Sparrows just down on here. Okay, so again, another very nice touch with those. Okay, and then we've got, that is the Sidewinder B with the more pointy front on there, and we've got the fuel tanks. Very nice indeed, no problem with those. Okay, last up, we won't bother popping this one out, but we've got actually the one for the C, which has the correct instrument panels on the lumps and bumps and the radar warning receivers just down in here as well. Okay, so that's specific to this one. Last up, we've got the clear parts as always. So we don't have any centre line seam, and actually they are perfect. I can't see any problems with that at all. Very, very nice indeed. Been running around the bag for a while. Minimal distortion right the way through, and again you get the option for doing both. So if you wanted to, you could use this one over here, the big one, just for spraying, and once it's done, take it off and replace it with more detailed ones for the actual open positions. And then again, just down on here, we've got some stuff for the heads-up display, the gun sight type things, and stuff like that. And that is it. I have to say, it's a beautiful looking kit. Nice to see now we've got a Phantom with engines. Always been looking for something like this, because you can now do a lot of detailed work. You could open up the panels if you wanted to, expose those engines, take an engine out, show it on a dolly next to it, whichever way you wanted to do. So it's really nice to see it. Now the biggest thing with this, and the reason I've got it in here, is, to be honest with you, it's now with us on the Flory Model site through PM Models. I always used to say that the Academy one was the way to go, because the Academy one was cheaper and you pay such a massive price for this. It used to be around about £80–85 when they first came out. Luckily for us now, the price of these has dropped considerably, and the Academy one, though, unfortunately has got a lot more expensive. So now this one becomes in range of it. And as you know, I like to pick a specific model. That's what would be the definitive one for it. And now this one is available from the Flory Models site through PM Models at £60. And then you're looking at the the other one as well, which is around about £50 as well for the Academy one now, there's not a lot between it. So I would pay the extra £10 and go for this particular kit. You're talking that Tamiya quality and the Tamiya details right the way through. So it's a step up from the actual Academy kit. So that is why I'm going to be building this one next. So definitely look around, keep up with me. I'm going to be showing you exactly how this one goes together in the very near future. So there we go, that is the Zoukei Mura F-4C Phantom in 1/48 scale.